started engaging into drugs, heavy, cocaine, and I felt I was gonna die. My purpose is to help veterans, first responders, and their families. I know I'm repeating it, but that's what I'm here for.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Latler, your host of the LEO First podcast, and today I'm in Miami-Dade. I've been able and fortunate to make my way back here. If you guys have forgotten, this is actually my hometown. I haven't been here consistently since 2003. However, I was blessed with the opportunity to come speak yesterday in Sunny Isles for about 9 agencies. You know, as being a public speaker, professional speaker, it's one thing to go speak around the country, around the world, but when you're able to come speak at your hometown, it changes everything. And that's what I've been giving. And that's been the thing I've been able to do right now. So today we are at the Fellowship of Christian First Responders, FCFR, and I had to look at it because it's a long title. You know, in law enforcement, we can't do anything short. We have to have acronyms, and we were given the opportunity to speak here by George Alessandri, who is the lead pastor, lead chaplain, and he's building this program from the ground up, giving first responders the chance to all come together in a faith-based organization and opportunities to say, hey, fellow brothers and sisters that are first responders, come here. So we've been blessed here. That's why we have the cross, and we have a chance to spread the word in another manner. So before I get too much more into me talking and stuff like that, I'm going to introduce our guest today, Chris Martinez AKA Kable. He has 21 years in law enforcement, 8 years Hialeah Police, 16 years Miami Gardens, 4 years in the Army. I asked him, was he Marine? And he said something about he passed the ASVAB and got a high score. So all the Marines watching.
Hey, much love to the veterans, man. Just much love. You know how it is, guys. You know how it is.
So you guys already know that he threw a punt. I'm not a military guy. I've never been. But for all the folks that are watching, that's the little thing he threw.
I got nothing but love for the record. That's my disclaimer. I love you guys. We all serve our country for the reason and for a cause.
Yes.
You know, much love and respect, and thank you for your service. But I did score high on the ASVAB.
Hey, and he has 2 years in the National Guard. But most importantly, given his law enforcement background, one of the things that brought my attention to him when I was going through IG and looking up people that are making an impact, I saw something on his profile that talked about mental wellness. So when I started looking deeper into it and to him, I realized that he was not only an advocate for mental wellness, but also physical fitness. And I believe both of those are extremely important in law enforcement, especially all the things we deal with. So for me, it was an honor to be able to contact him. And I told him the fact that I'm in Miami, let's connect, and we did. So Chris, thank you for being here with me. Thank you for giving a chance. Yes. Just tell us about you. Like, what do you want people to know about you that you have going on in your life right now?
Right now, I'm retired after 24 years of law enforcement. And that to me is, it's a new chapter. It's a big step, but God put it in my heart. And he put it in my heart to work with veterans and first responders, you know, to help them and their families that deal with PTSD, depression, and anxiety. You know, it's, the departments and agencies don't provide enough help. So I've been blessed to have resources and have people reach out, such as yourself, that want to help share the message so we could grow this and grow the awareness, which is super impactful and super important, guys.
Chris, everybody has a story, and that's what really brought us here today. I know we talked about it earlier today before the podcast, but also over the phone, and the fact that you've gone through a lot of things in your career, I think, is something that people have to hear, because sometimes, and a lot of times, we think we're alone. We think that we have to face all our demons by ourselves. We think that it's just us. So what led you to where you're at right now in your life, which I can tell it's almost like you're relieved, you're in retirement mode, you have a good family, your spouse, I know she's here with us today. And what got you to this? Like, just give us some, like a quick idea or a synopsis of what brought you to this point in your life.
I was in a dark hole, man. You know, as military and also law enforcement, we compartmentalize everything. You know, alpha, we don't want to look weak and speak and share, you know, and get help. When the actual truth is, it takes a strong individual to seek that help. More so for their mental health and their well-being, but the families, you know, the person doesn't just suffer, everybody does. And I'll come out and say it, man, like I told you, I literally had the PTSD, started coming on stronger and stronger, depression, anxiety, from work, hostile work environment, started bringing things out, and I got in a dark hole, man. I was depressed, I was out drinking, partying, I was being the worst type of family man. Worst husband, father, and literally started engaging into drugs, heavy, cocaine, and I felt I was gonna die. I felt I was losing it all. And I remember times contemplating taking my life, just to leave something for my kids and the family, you know what I mean? Just to do that. Like, at least I owed them that. And then just one day, I'm telling you, I felt I was gonna die. I didn't eat for 2 days, like I was telling you on the phone. And I was on a bender, and I just looked at myself in the mirror, my skin was like gray, and I said, God's the only thing that's gonna help me, believe it or not. And I ended up going to church, and I literally submitted and begged him to help me, to turn in everything to him. And next thing you know, I ended up waking up on the ground, and when I woke up, I felt like all SWAT gear or from the military, your combat load was just removed. And
all that weight.
Yes, that's yeah. And I just was like feeling so good. And he removed any kind of craving or want of drugs.
Oof, that's wow.
And I had a feeling prior to, like, I didn't want nothing to do with law enforcement at all. I wanted to just get out. And he put it in my heart to help the family. He goes, no, you're not done. You're gonna help veterans, first responders, and their families. And you're gonna get the resources, and you're gonna be that help to them. You're gonna tell your story. You need to tell a story because you guys need to reach out. If you see somebody, talk to them, please encourage them to talk. And if you're hearing this message and you are in my position, reach out and talk, call EAP, call Boulder Crest for Struggle Well. That was my first step in getting help. When I was in that dark hole, I was very fortunate to attend the Struggle Well class, which is held by Boulder Crest. And it's for first responders, dispatchers to go, and families. Family members could attend that course. And they teach you about post-traumatic growth. And in PTSD, we struggle. So you could choose to struggle bad, feed the bad wolf, as we were taught, or struggle well, feed the good wolf, recognizing your triggers, recognizing your symptoms, and then struggling well with to have a crisis plan in place. Doing things like that are important, seeking them out. And Boulder Crest also has another program called Warrior Path, which is an all like immersion. You're there, immersed, they pay for everything, your flight, your meals, everything there. And it's all about helping the veterans and the first responders. I can't thank them enough for guiding me on that right path. You know, opening that door, showing me that light at the end of the tunnel.
Because Chris, you're real, and I want people to realize that I talked Chris to be on my podcast today, and because this is his very first time being on a podcast ever, he was very nervous, and he was very fearful, because a lot of us growing up in this industry, we're not naturally, it's getting better in 2024, but we're not naturally supported to go and share our story, especially at that vulnerable level, because then it's almost like a stigma, like, hey, now you shared your weakness, which we all have.
Especially in the military, being, you know, former Ranger,
Yes.
and then being a SWAT operator, you're scared of what people are going to think, or you don't want to look weak, and then we don't even talk about it to our families. We just shut down and keep it inside. And especially, you come up, hey, how are you? After a critical incident, I'm like, I'm good. Man, when you see that, we're not good. Talk to that person, encourage that person. Let them know there's hope, man. And get to know your partners, get to know the people in your squads. Don't just know because you work with them for 8, 10, 12 hours because you know the different shifts. Learn about them, their families, everything, connect with them, Because at the end of the day, if they're not right here, they could get hurt on the line of duty, or their backup, their partners, their squad. It's a family, man. It's the blue blood,
And with that family, tell me a little bit about how your family was able to support, because that was something that they're there for, and sometimes we don't realize that's one of the blessings that we have, is that we have family. So tell me how having family, especially you talked about your wife, you highlighted her a lot throughout this whole process. Tell us how having a support system is extremely vital to kind of overcoming some of these PTSD and critical incidents.
It truly, having somebody supportive, it makes a huge difference, not just giving up. And believe it or not, they struggle too. I mean, my kids, I'll say it, during my incident, and I was just lost, I was checked out. My 17-year-old, I told you, she tried to commit suicide. And work, when I asked for help, nothing. My wife even called the job.
Trying to get help.
And nothing. So that's why we found our purpose, that we need to help. We need to help this. And a family, man, that's where it starts. That's where it starts 100%, man. Being grounded, one for ours is faith. But having that support from the wife or from the husband and the kids especially. I mean, I told you my daughters didn't want anything to do with me at one point. And then I was suddenly you got your son, an amazing kid.
Yeah.
They didn't want nothing to do with me, Michael.
So that just added to everything else.
That's when I wanted to take my life. And now that they're saying, hey, Dad, let's hang out, hey, this, that,
All part of the transformation.
I can't thank God enough for what he's done in my life. And I need to help young people, I mean, you saw what I did with Bleeding Blue. These organizations are here to help. He's here to help. He's a voice. And that's why I was so excited to be here. And guys, please, please help these organizations. Share his thing, share the podcast, because this needs to be out there. It really does. Awareness. That's why mental health awareness advocate. It needs to be out there.
And it's so amazing, because what people don't realize is when you find a greater purpose than yourself, some of the things that you're feeling, especially like I mentioned earlier, some of the anxiety you felt coming into this podcast, some of the probably the hesitation, some of the voices saying don't do it, I'm sure was in there. Because
you're gonna mess up, you're gonna say something wrong.
You're gonna say something crazy, or you're gonna say something, but this is the reality. This is what people don't realize. Because I've had other guests as well that's had that fear of coming on, but they've always said like, hey, I'm happy I was able to do it, because now it broke me out of my shell, or a preconceived setback that I had given myself. But once I shared my story, even in a setting like this, it was so life-changing, because I realized I wasn't the only one out there, not just struggling with anxiety and PTSD, but struggling with the fact that people wanted to hear my story. I'm like, no, people want to hear these stories, because people are going through things day in and day out, and they think they're by themselves, and just compounding family issues, and then work not being there, and it's like everybody's against me. But no. There's people like you, Chris, that are living testimony of like, hey, I hit the ground. I hit rock bottom. But between the support of God, between the support of your family, and understanding that there is more people you can help, it drove you and built you up from that. So as you go forward and you think about some of the programs and maybe some of the different ways you can impact people, where do you find yourself going in that direction?
Funny you asked that. I'm actually working on a journal / workbook. it's like a 21-day say to create a habit, right? So it's things that I did to help survive, cope, deal with it, and function in a high capacity and enjoy life. That's what it's about, right?
Correct.
Enjoy your life, enjoy the gift that God gave you. And so I'm working on that right now, which is going to be released probably within the next 2 months, and an autobiography, telling my story
Awesome.
from my childhood, where I grew up in government housing, the military, then law enforcement, and the stories, and then the black hole,
Yeah.
and then how I got out of it and everything, and putting resources in there as well to get help. So guys, please be on the lookout for that.
So with that, if people are looking to find you and they want to be ready when this came out in the next several months, where can they do that at?
First, my IG, which is at Kable with a K, _official. Yeah, not the cable guy. Kable with a K, and _official. And if you guys need help or you need me to reach out to somebody, please send me a DM. I'm here to help. That is why I retired early. That's my purpose. My purpose is to help veterans, first responders, and their families. I know I'm repeating it, but that's what I'm here for. It's like you're doing this podcast for Leos and stuff, because that's your purpose, man.
Correct.
And I feel honored. You said you're honored to have me? No, I feel honored and blessed. And divine appointment put us together. And that's one thing, and I thank you. I really thank you for letting me share this and giving me that courage, and also praying with us before to help settle my nerves, you know?
And there's no problem, and that's the point of the show. So the point of is, once again, to share real stories of real people to show that we're struggling. And it's okay to struggle, but you have other sources out there, so it's not just you. So any final words for the audience?
Guys, I'll say this. For somebody you think is going through issues or a critical incident happen, talk to them. Family members, talk to them. Wives, kids, talk to them. Co-workers, talk to them. For the people that are experiencing the critical incident, I'm begging you, please talk to somebody. It takes a strong person to seek help than to keep it compartmentalized, because guess what? It's eventually going to explode internally. You're going to erupt. You're going to want to take your life, or you're going to take your life. We're losing too many officers, firefighters, veterans committing suicide. I mean, it's skyrocketing. That's number one. Number two, you want to get that help for your family. You don't want to be in that dark hole taking the drugs. And if you are, believe me, I know there's some out there, because I'm not the only one. And that's why I had to speak about it, to let you guys know that there's hope, that you can be better, your family can be restored, and everything by the grace of God, you're able to help people and then help others, man. That's what it's about. And especially, and I'll leave this, the administration, supervisors, guys, a critical incident happens, talk to your guys, because 9 out of 10 times they're not okay. And don't just ask them once the day of the incident, follow up with them. And if you can't follow up with them, message me and message me their contact, and I'll follow up with them. Because if I could save one life, Michael, or restore family, I've done my mission, man. It's all worth it. It would be all worth it.
Yeah, and Chris, that's what most of us look at. And if you haven't thought or you haven't done it yet, make sure you go find Chris on Kable with the K _official. Make sure he's good. But at the end of the day, guys, you're not by yourself, and I think that's the whole goal and one of the main missions of whenever we speak and talk to you all about wellness, mental wellness, and things like that, because a lot of times we think we have to face anything we have going on by ourselves. We know this isn't true. So if you haven't had the chance at the moment, make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. If you really liked what you heard, make sure you share it. If you don't like what you heard, just forget about it and wait till the next episode. But I know that you're going to like what you heard, and you're probably going to be sending him DMs and saying, hey, where can we find them? And you're going to ask me that, and I understand that, and that's the goal. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for being a guest. Thank you for just being available to us at any point. And if you ever need anything, reach out. If not, be safe. You guys have a great day.